Hi, everybody. It's Kelly Russell with Rock Your Joy, and I'm talking to you today about Christmas in pandemic. So, I wanted to find a way in this holiday blog and just in my own life to be able to look at Christmas, which is one of my very favorite times of the year, and I am kind of one of those Christmas freaks. You may have heard me talk about that before or blog about it in the past. And I love the season. I love the hustle and bustle and the bells and the songs and the just the cheer and the vibe in the air. And I love all of it. And so this year is different. It's Christmas and pandemic. And so rather than making meaning out of that and allowing it, as the ego would love for us to do, to bum us out and judge it and make it less than a Christmas we would like our Christmas to be. I wanted to find a way to be able to make different meaning out of the whole thing. And so, what I wrote about in today's blog was about the symbolism of some of the icons that surround Christmas and looking at them differently. I mean, the Course in Miracles talks about the miracle being a shift in perception from fear to love, right? So if we are able to look at the pandemic and shift our perception about it from one of fear to one of love, then we'll have a very different experience. And so, same thing in the holiday season. And since there are so many symbols, there is the tree, there are angels, there are lights everywhere, there are depictions of the Nativity and Mary and the baby Jesus, and there's Santa. And so, in the blog, I took a number of those symbols and talked about them in terms of what we can see them as representations of and how they can serve as reminders to us of what the truth really is. Because let's remember, as Course in Miracles students, that this world isn't real, that we are living a dream. And even though this feels particularly real right now, it's really not. And as the Course in Miracles says, there's no order of difficulty in miracles, which means that the shift in perception can happen with regard to anything, whether it's something that we perceive to be very small or something that we perceive to be very big and overwhelming. And so being able to apply the miracle here and being able to shift our perception is really what ours is to do, and to remember what the truth is. That is really what we are asked to do. And so the truth is that we are dreaming this dream because we have unconscious guilt buried in our minds, believing that we separated from God, which never happened. And so our work, our journey, is to wake up from that dream. And so being able to look at some of the icons that surround Christmas, for instance, looking at Mary. And when I talk about Mary, I talk about her journey and what is, what are you carrying? What are you preparing to birth into the world during this, in this pandemic experience? What have you noticed? What have you felt stirring inside of you? Whether it is deciding to live your life differently, as the pandemic has, sort of forced us to do, whether it is choosing to do something different for your career or change a relationship or whatever it is, there's something that is wanting to be born in all of us. And so being able to use the symbol of Mary to really consider what that might be for you. And another example is the tree. the Christmas tree, and that when we see a Christmas tree, we see gifts underneath it. We see it as the giving tree. We see the pandemic as the giving tree. And that what gifts have come out of this pandemic for you. You know, the first instance is always to speak about it negatively and how terrible it is, what a pain in the ass it is, how it has, you know, fucked up our lives and so forth. And I'm not denying that that is what it can feel like, and that's certainly the meaning that we can give it. But if we give it that meaning, then we suffer. So it's really about making new meaning. And so if we can see the pandemic as having so many gifts in it for us, what has staying home more, traveling less, not commuting, spending more time with your partner or your children, or you're just in your home, or spending more time in quiet, or doing things that you weren't able to do because you didn't have time. What gifts have you found in the pandemic? What has this giving tree given to you? Another example is the light. And I love the light. I have lights all over my house. You know, I love one of the things that I love about this season, the holiday season, is just the lights. I love driving around and looking at everybody's lights. And so being able to look at every time you see a depiction of light, whether it is a string of lights or a menorah or a candle in a window or a lit wreath or a fire in a hearth or whatever, to be able to remember that that light symbolizes the light that is within you and that is within your brother. And the same light is in all of us, and that is the light of God. And so for us to be reminded of that, you know, the celebration of Christmas and the symbolism of it, it's not just the birthday of a man that was a great teacher on earth. It is the birth of this and the celebration of the Christ consciousness into our world, for us to begin to wake up to the realization that we are all Christ, that we are the ones we've been waiting for, that we are the love of God, temporarily appearing to be in bodies, but that we are the light of the world, that is the truth of us, that our realization of who we are is what is being celebrated this season. And so I encourage you to think about the symbolism that I've talked about, to read the blog if you'd like to, and check out some of the other symbols that I talk about, and consider how these different representations have meaning for you and how you can make meaning in Christmas, in pandemic, how you can shift your perception from fear to love. So thank you so much for being with me today. I love you so very much. I am so happy to be appearing to be in this dream with you on earth right now. And I wish you the very merriest of Christmases. Remember that you are the light of the world. I love you. Namaste.